Hi, it's Saturday, the 18th of April 2020, and we've got Sun in Aries and we've got Moon in waning Pisces at 10 degrees. aquaorfire.net. An old witch on a windy promontory, she's calling to the sea. Wildly tuned in, staggeringly aware of the overall situation and its call, you respond deeply and with earnest, plaintive engagement with all that is happening. You are profoundly emotional, physical, and personal in order to ground and focus a vaster attunement urgently and critically mobilized at hotspots. Assigned to tune into everything and make sure all the cosmic bases are covered. Inner planes activity predominates. You live within vast worlds and are psychically charged with all that is being taken in. But your central focus is to respond, to report, to send the inner messages, to keep the lines open. Emergency and crisis sensibility inside of things, searching for signs and knowing how to be there on the spot to turn things around by inward force of the magical will. So another day of shift, and in the UK, as you can see, I've got my cardi on. The weather has changed as it does in the UK, and the sun is not here in the physical form. In the Mayan, however, we are on the first clear sign, yellow resonant sun. And as you can see, I've still got a wonky calendar. And it's a black square, which means it's a portal day of human evolution. So throughout time, on this day, it's a day of great learning, of potentiality for human evolution. Again, on a personal level, this is all about the personal, remember. Okay, so as you can see, we started up here also in a portal day on the 30th of March, and we've done our first block of 20. So this is the initiation block, of which there are 13 strands till we get to the end. This is about mapping cycles. This is what the Zolkin is all about. This is what the Maya frame of reference, the Maya being the illusion, the delusion, the framework that we're in on planet Earth, in the Human Mystery School at this time, massive turnaround into truth. So understanding how the world really is rather than how we've been told it is. So lots going on that dynamic. And how to get clear, how to know what is resonating with light that feels congruent, feels good, feels like truth. How to know what isn't that, the shadow, is it doesn't feel good. It might feel good temporarily, for example, if you go back to the Neptunian delusions and illusions and use substances to put into yourself to change your vibe, or use uplifters or ways to avoid current situations when you're not feeling good, rather than going into them and understanding why you're not feeling good, where that comes from, and how to change it. The only thing that the human being actually needs to do is to heal the shadow. Blue storm, which was yesterday, yellow sun today, both the planets have Pluto. Pluto is about our hell experiences. So in terms of the myths, Persephone being abducted into the underworld by Hades, and we all experience this every year at the dark time of the year at the autumn equinox, we have an opportunity to work deeply within and get clear. At the moment, it's about every day getting clear and what is pushing our buttons so we can become very aware of our human being story and how to get clear of it. What the focus is about in terms of personal patterning and in terms of the bigger picture patterning on the planet is the Mayans mapped thousands and thousands and thousands of years worth of planetary alignments. They mapped code around personal human beings, around planetary events, where Venus is in the sky is really, really key. The calendar is primarily about the influence of Venus, what we value, what we love. Again, Persephone going down into the underworld is the same. It's Venus, the evening star, the morning star. Lots happening with that at the moment, and I'm going to be blogging about that because this is going to be big in the next few weeks. So at this time on planet Earth, we are going through things coming to light that have been hidden, secrets, ways that human beings use manipulative techniques to put people into trances, for example. And again, what I offer you is learn about psychology, learn in particular about your own psychology, and really start to map your patterns and what's coming up for you now, and create a dialogue for yourself so you can really see how these things keep coming around, because it's so empowering. And you start to realize that we may have free will in certain arenas. We're here to follow our pattern and really understand it and evolve through understanding it and through healing it and releasing it and rewiring the part of us that holds the patterning in place through trauma. If you haven't watched Gabor Mate yet, I watched a great one by him on YouTube yesterday. Just Google him, and he explains about how mind, body and spirit are connected. Again, known in a lot of places in the world, not particularly well known in the West, not particularly well known in the UK, for example. So seeing that everything's connected on a deep level, when we have emotional experiences, we embed them. And we embed them for a very good reason, to keep us safe. And they also keep us stuck, and they keep us going around and around the merry-go-round. That's starting to change now, because it's time for us to change. So it's trusting that there is a bigger picture pattern going on. Great book to read if you haven't read it is The Mayan Factor, and I dipped into it again last night as I felt intuitively to do that. So this is different paradigm stuff. So I know lots of people who I've talked to about the Mayan calendar, and they've read everything going chapter and verse. I prefer not to do that. I prefer to work intuitively. That's how I learn the calendar. And so as and when something comes up, I know to go out and read a chapter of a book, for example, because that's the pertinent information that I need. I don't want to put a load of stuff in my personal library, my hippocampus, because that influences how I see the world. And that's somebody else's perspective. As valid as that is, a lot of these things were written a long time ago when there was a different code going on. Doesn't mean that they're applicable now. We have different astrology, we have different perspectives, we have different cosmic code going on. We're at a different time. So again, I'm not saying any of these writings are obsolete or irrelevant. I'm just saying for each individual, each personal holograph perspective, you will follow your cosmic cookie trail and you will find what you need for you. And again, it's like the Matrix. It, you know, as she says, the Oracle says to Neo, it's knowing the right questions to ask. This takes time and it takes discipline. And most of all, it takes clearing of limiting beliefs and trauma so that we can embody light code. You cannot do that if you're not doing this clearing process. And it is as simple as that. You cannot hold new code of light and trauma-free, emotional-free template if you are still holding old story. That's it. That's the truth. And just think about it, and it's logical. When you've got old trauma and story, which all of us have, and I have still got stuff going on, even though I've been working on myself a lot and with other people who are another me, so I'm also working on me for 13 years around individual stories that I hold. New things pop up, it goes deeper. I'm an awful lot clearer than when I started, and there's still stuff there. Just think about it. Thousands of years worth of embedded DNA doesn't clear overnight because it would not be sustainable for the human being to be able to hold that. The same around the numerology and the tipping point that we're at. Once you get to a certain tipping point, it becomes easier and things pass easier and you're in a very different space in a shorter period of time. But that takes the small steps, it takes personal stability, and it takes a while for the psyche to reboot. So that is key. If you haven't checked out emotional freedom technique yet, if you haven't checked out how your amygdala works yet, check that out, because that's the key to set you free. And it's all written all over the pyramids as well, the process, and all over the Mayan. All these pictures are a process. This is the tree of life. So this here is on the tomb of Pakal Votan, who was discovered in 1952 in Palenque in the Temple of Inscriptions. And on this sarcophagus, there are 13 clear signs, and they show the process. The people who have these codes, their life story shows the process. My sign is on here, it's blue solar hand, and it's about the process of shaping your destiny through going through the Buddha gateway of healing the old story in order to embody the new light codes coming in. When you start working with a calendar and you start as in intuitively, so every day, first of all, get in a calendar. I made that calendar myself, first of all, so that I was working with that code. So if you've heard of Drunvalo Melchizedek, for example, and looked at his sacred geometry, the key to that is for you to start drawing the flowers of life for yourself, because this is all about embodiment. This is actually about becoming the change, being the experience, actually getting your compass on the piece of paper and drawing it. And as you're drawing it, you're being it. The same with anything that you do. Rather than thinking about it, if you know, it's like growing things. If you're putting your hands in the soil, if you're making something mechanical, you're actually going through the process of doing it. You're not just reading about it. And so you're embodying the whole thing. And as you embody it and you do it again and again, it becomes a part of you. It becomes a natural embodiment of you. And again, this learning is so key now. So in terms of the codes that we're talking about today, I intuitively tuned in to this chapter last night. And so it's chapter 8, and so it's talking about the coming solar age. And so some of these things I'm revisiting, but again, each time I revisit them, I go deeper into another level of learning. And again, this is the whole point of us repeating the cycles and going around and aligning with nature. Most of, particularly in the West, the cosmic coding that's been done with us has been to fit an agenda, to disempower people, to give a framework of forgetting who we really are, because that's a process that we had to go through of forgetting and then awakening, and then at this time really starting to understand that we have a programming going on, a worldview that is simply that. What working with the Mayan calendar does, the 260-day cycle does, is it takes you out of that paradigm and starts to connect you to a different one, which is free of the Gregorian time scale. So it's a totally different concept. And I'm in my 9th year of working with it, and it blows my mind, because the numerology in itself, the 20-step process, is about 5 lots of 4. And so each 4 days we've got a framework. So when this began on the 30th of March, we had 4 days that gave us the initial framework that we're going to be working with. And if you look back on flowwithjo.com, the videos are there. They're on the Red Dragon wave spell. And I talk about what happened in that first 13 days. But in particular, the first 4 days, so we've got Red Dragon, White Wind, Blue Night, and Yellow Seed. That's the first format, okay? So then we go into day 5, which is the overtone. And that is key to today, which is Yellow Sun. So the tribe of the coming solar age is Red Serpent, which is the 5th Mayan sign. So when we've had the first 4 days, we then go into the 5th day. And Red Serpent is the asteroid belt. It's the new consciousness coming in out of the old, the destroyed planets that have made new asteroids. And Red Serpent is all about relationship. So it's all about how our body works, our reptilian mind, and the survival response, and how we really work with that to understand how that works. And this is essential to go, we're all here because we survived. So our tribe, our DNA has got some amazing survival techniques. So becoming very aware of them. But sometimes we just stay at that survival level. We don't thrive. We just stay with that survival mind activated. And often that takes a huge toll on our fear responses. We're often reactive, our adrenal glands, we're exhausted. We're continually running that fight or flight. We've got PTSD because life is stressful, often because we're not being our true selves. So Red Serpent is the key, is the awakener to that in the very first 13 days of what the Great Mother is bringing us. The next part of this tribe is White Dog. And White Dog is all about conditional love, how we've learned to be conditioned, how we have been shaped, our minds have been shaped, how we've been programmed through our cultural conditioning. And now, especially since the consumer age, how we've been programmed to consume. And so White Dog is the 10th Mayan sign. It's the heart's desire is to heal the ancestral patterning. The next one in this tribe is Blue Eagle, and that's the 15th Mayan sign. And as such, it's a mastery teaching. It's after the first 13, it's in the next 7, which are the mastery teaching. Blue Eagle is, White Dog, the planet is Mercury. So being able to embody our God and Goddess self, our higher self, through healing these wounds. Blue Eagle's planet is Jupiter. It's a mastery of what we've come here to know about our ancestral wounding, about our survival, about how our reptilian brain works. And as we're doing these first 2 processes, with Blue Eagle, the blue is always the transformation. As we work with this awareness, this conscious way of being a human being, we then heal that, and this allows the solar mind, the galactic mind, to be embodied by the human being. Yellow Sun being the final one, the 20th mind sign, and the planet is Pluto. So healing the shadow allows transformation of the light body, transformation of the assemblage point in shamanic terms, letting go of the old human being's story so we can become the magical traveller that is here to change the world. And as we get clearer and clearer, it's knowing that we are a channel, we're all channels. Most people have got their radio tuned into something very earthly, let's say, that's the shopping channel, Netflix, and that takes up most of their time until they're ready, till they're switched on, ready to go deeper and to come into the great dance at this time. We're all perfectly placed. That's the key. For an individual, the question is, what level of the game do you want to play at? And learning about how each one of us works is so key for our own personal evolution and potentiality. This is why we're here. This is our mission impossible, should we choose to connect to it. So it's just to remember again, so just flicking through the book, on the winter solstice, December 21st, in the Northern Hemisphere, 2012, we began a new 26,000 year cycle. And so we're in a whole different ballgame now. And so all our stuff, all our fear, all our shadow stories are coming up to make us aware that in terms of how our world is reflected back is by what we believe in. And of course, all of these beliefs come from other people in our family originally. And as a child, you know, it's who looks after us, what their beliefs are, how they shape our world from day to day. Again, I've been looking at some old family videos today and watching my son as a very young child and how different family members interacted with him, and just getting such amazing insights. So if you do have any old movies, I urge you to go and check them out, because the key focus for each one of us has to be around understanding how these family patterns and dynamics keep repeating, how they keep going until you get to a point where different people in the family decide to do something about this because they're not happy about it. They're not, they know there's something doesn't feel good about it. It's not right. Again, it's not about blame. It's just about understanding what works and what doesn't work, what creates harmony with human beings, what creates joy and love, what creates an amazing way of being on planet Earth in your tribe. That's what it's about. And at the moment on the world stage, we've got lots of not feeling good about our tribe, clearly, because we're all in our own homes. You know, most of us, some people are out there, you know, working more than ever. So again, that's a different paradigm, isn't it? And so each experience that people are having right now reflects their own belief system. And as a collective, we're seeing that if something is very threatening to us, then we allow somebody to take control, somebody in authority to take control and tell us how to behave, basically. And so again, personal examination of that. Where did that come from in me? Where did I learn how to believe that? How does it make me feel? All of these sorts of questions are key. And if there's big fear coming up in, so it could be, wow, what if I get ill? What if the economy collapses? What if I can't see my family again? All of these deep questions, they are coming up now. And really being gentle with yourself right now as well, and taking time out to get support as well if you need it. And so again, I share emotional freedom technique. It works. Check it out. That will help you support yourself if you can't get in touch with anybody else. It will also help you see where you normally go for support as well at this time. If you normally feel comforted through food, for example, through taking some sort of self-medication like alcohol or drugs, or something that changes your mood, that helps you relax, but there's always a price to be paid for that. So checking out something and using something that doesn't have a side effect to it is key now, making that shift and doing it for ourselves, moving away from codependent behaviour. This is also really key. So again, I just want to read something from the book, and the more that you get clear of your original wounding story, you just experience a whole different way of being. And so again, if you're a fan of Carlos Castaneda and all his teachings, or the Toltec way, any of those ways of being, South America, shamanic, then you will know that the more that you lose attachment to something that you believe to be true about yourself, the more you relax, the more you open, the more you live an amazing adventure. And it doesn't mean that you lose compassion. The reverse is true. You become more compassionate, and you realize that you cannot change anything for anyone else. Each person has to follow their own path, and each person has to find their destiny and their truth. And anything to do with control and manipulation and codependency is fear-based. So it talks about this book again, the freedom that we get and how we channel into what is beyond this illusional world that most people are living. And apparently, in terms of the light body, for this to occur, all we need to do is to reverse our view. It's not the physical body that is primary, but the light body. The autokinetic physical body, like leaves to a tree, is a projection of our inner attainment. The light body, with its sensory radar, neural canals, central computer, chakra, and subtle nervous system, has ultra-radiant fibers and is a true skeleton of the physical body. It is operating on the same 260 unit pulsation template as the sun. The Mayan harmonic module, the functioning of our light body, is amazingly simple. Yet disregard for it is what consigns us to what we call the realms of the beasts. So again, it's remembering that we've lost a lot of this paradigm, this outlook around chi, energy, especially in the West. In the East, it's very different, and also, you know, why the East and West had to combine their wisdom and their ways of being, which started to happen earlier on in the 20th century. So we're remembering who we really are now. And so it's essential in order to do that is to just really heal ourselves. So I'm going to come back again to the key, which is heal the shadow. That's it. It's a time of the dark sun. It's a time where we're really starting to understand how things really work, rather than how we've been led to believe that they work. And so in this first 20 days, very simply, how to do that is to notice the days when you felt really good and how much light you were holding, and maybe that was reflective of how much sun there was on that day, because the sun is key to regulating our hormonal activity. So being told to stay in and being limited to natural places, and so not being allowed to go on the beaches, not being able to access going into the water, all of those sorts of activities have huge impact on the human psyche. And people in particular who can't get out into a natural space, if you live in the city, if you can't go in the parks, how that felt for you. We're coming into this time of wisdom now. So just again, notice and write down, because writing down brings the inside outside. Or do a blog, do a vlog, do something where you've got a record of this, because this is the most important time we've had in our lifetime, in many generations of lifetimes. This is unprecedented. So you've got key info for your alchemy right now. Write down where your buttons were pushed, where you didn't feel good, and what was coming up for you. Follow that cookie trail back. Write that down. That's key for your shadow work. And shadow work will set you free from keep doing this karma wheel, going round and round over and over again for you as a human being. Tomorrow we start a new 20-day cycle, and we go into Red Galactic Dragon. So we're going to be integrating what happened in the first 13 days. So onwards into the next chapter. If you'd like more information about how to work with these codes, how to work with your personal codes, which is really key, please do get in touch with me and check out my blog, flowwithjo.com. Lots of love. Here's to your solar sun.